Good day, boys and girls. The subject we chose to make a video about is classification. At first, we are going to talk about 7 features that make things alive. After that, we are going to talk about classification steps. So the steps how you can classify anything you want. Then we are going to describe each classification step. So how you can recognize them, and we're going to give you a few examples. Then we are going to classify an example for you. So we don't know if it's living yet, but we will find out. Then we are going to discuss the binomial naming system, and we are going to give you guys an example. And finally, we have a conclusion about what we discussed in this episode.
So now, at first, we are going to discuss the 7 features of living organisms, and what they are and how to recognize them. So, see here, a living Lucas thing. Let's see if it has all the 7 things it needs to survive. So, let's see. The first of the 7 things is, does it move? Indeed, it does move. So the first one is already there. One step closer to being a living thing. So, the second one is, all living organisms eat. Let's see if this one does. So, this thing eats, another step closer to being a living organism. The next one is respond to stimuli. So let's see if it notices when something happens in its surrounding. At least we can see it does. The next one, of course, is growth. All organisms grow. Let's see if this one does. Indeed, it does. That's a nice thing, because we already have 4 features now, so it is already close to being a living organism. Okay, the next thing is reproduce. And let's not see if it reproduces, but let's assume it does. Because I hope not that we're going to view how this creature reproduces. This feature is that it also has to excrete after it has eaten. Let's see if this one does, but not from a close point of view. Okay, this creature is now determined to excrete too. And finally, at last, it has to develop itself by first eating stuff, and then develop into a newer or better improved version of itself. So this poor little Lucas thingy has to develop in a new, bigger and happier Lucas thingy. So, now we know it has all 7 things. We can state that this creature is a living organism. It's part of our group. It lives. It's not a dead material, but it's a living organism. I'm going to talk about the classification layers. So, the way you have to classify a living organism. There are 7 layers. These: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. The first one is kingdom. There are only 5 kingdoms: the animals, the plants, the fungi, the protoctista, and the prokaryotes. These are only 5, but the ones beneath have more and more of them, so we won't name them all. Let's see. Each layer has its own specific features at which you can recognize them. The kingdom is on cellular level. The ones beneath have more and more specific features, so it's more difficult to recognize them. And finally, after doing all these steps, it results into a species. At that moment, you know the exact creature. Okay, now we're going to classify an example, totally for you, step by step. First, let's see which kingdom he is. Animals do move on their own, while plants and other things can't. And as you can see, this thing moves on its own, so it is an animal. Now we've come to the phylum. Or maybe he's one of the chordates. They have a backbone and can stand upright. As you can see, he does have a backbone, so he is of the chordates. His class is of course mammal, because he has hairy fur on his body, just like hair. Other animals do have that too, but this one has specific fur and a backbone, so he must be a mammal. He must be of the order of primates, because he has grasping fingers, so he grabs different kind of things. Also does he have a relatively flat face, and he can see 3D, as you notice. So he must be one of the hominids. His genus is Homo, because he can stand upright and he has a big head, so a big brain. And finally, maybe he can be a Homo sapien as species, because he has a high forehead. And as you can see, this is just a normal Homo sapien. I almost can't believe it, but it is.
Binomial naming system. There once was a really smart guy called Linnaeus. He tried to classify all the animals and other organisms that are alive. He discovered that you can make a Latin name out of 3 parts: genus, species, and then it ends with the discoverer. A few examples are a cat, that's called a Felis catus L, because L is from Linnaeus. A human is Homo sapien L, and there are a few examples of Latin names.
And now, to conclude this entire episode, we will revise this together with you. First, we talked about the 7 things that make something a living creature. And we used him as a test subject. Then, we explained one by one all the steps you have to take to classify a living organism. And again, used an example. After these things, we talked about the binomial naming system and how to use it, and how it is set up and found by who. And now we concluded. So, this was our entire episode, and we hope you enjoyed and learned something. The kingdom is on cellular niveau.
Maakt niet uit, ik knip het eruit verder.
On cellular niveau.
Cellular.
Cellular.
Cellular. Cellular.
Cellular.
Oké, ja, die was goed. Ja.